Good morning, guys. Today we got a 2010 CVO in the shop. We're going to do heated grips, cam chest kit from S&S, and a solid compensator. I'm probably going to do the video in 3 pieces so it's easier for you to look up. First of all, we're going to do solid compensator. We're going to take the rear passenger pegs off, 1 bolt. We're going to take the driver's foot pegs off, boards, whatever you want to call them, shifter, then the outer cover, drain the oil. Now there's a snap ring here. Behind that snap, behind this plate, this rod is attached because it's a hydraulic clutch. Behind this plate you'll find the nut to release your clutch hub. Then we'll take the automatic spring or chain tensioner out. We got the 2 spacers that are behind us. Make sure they get back in there. Take a 13/16. Release your compensator bolt. And you take a 1 3/16. This is a reverse thread nut. There you have your primary part. Now on this compensator delete kit we're using, we need to take these original springs from the compensator out. You can leave them, but it might cause a little rattling noise and imbalance. And to take them out, you just bend these 3 tabs back and slide them out. Throw them in the trash. Now that you have everything out, cleaned up, you're going to want to test fit this one time to make sure that everything is lined up properly. Or that it will line up properly. On the touring models, the chain comes out past the inner case, so I like to use a very square piece of steel. And then measure across. This looks like it's bang on. Now that we know we have everything lined up, you want to put your primary locking tool in here. Put your compensator bolt in there. You want to make sure that the recessed part of the washer is towards the compensator sprocket. Just going to lightly run this in. Then you can put your clutch hub nut on there. A little bit of red Loctite again. For this one, because the clutch hub nut is in reverse thread, we're going to have to flip that locking tool over. Torque for this compensating sprocket bolt setup is 165 for the front and 80 for the rear in reverse. I'd also like to mention in this video, for this clutch hub nut, I believe your very late 80s, about 88 and older, they were tapered clutch hub on the main shaft, and they were only 60 foot-pounds. If you go any more than 60, I guarantee you'll crack your clutch hub. When you made sure your compensator bolt is torqued up, your hub for your clutch is torqued up properly, your chain is aligned properly, and make sure you don't leave your tension tool in there. I reinstalled my automatic tensioners. You want to make sure your pads are looking good, and I like to put a zip tie around there to hold everything together. When you're done, you make sure you cut the zip tie off. Even if you were to forget, the chain will cut it through. Then you want to reinstall your clutch push rod. And the retaining clip. Make sure that your clip is seated properly. Sometimes I like to push it out a little bit. Then I can visually make sure. Good. Then we're going to get a gasket, put the cover back on. Personally, my favorite gaskets are Cometic AFM or MLS gaskets. I have the best luck with them. And AFM gaskets and multi-layer steel gaskets also will give you the least amount of distortion, especially important when torquing down head gaskets, that sort of stuff. Keeps your cylinder straight. Anytime you have these big objects you're torquing down or tightening up, you always want to start in the middle and work your way out. That way you never distort anything. Torque spec on these primary gaskets is 110 inch-pounds. Once again, 110 inch-pounds, not foot-pounds. Clean off your drain plug, and Harley has an O-ring on there. I personally prefer to use the liquid thread sealant. Lubrication, we like to use Amsoil low viscosity ATF. Less drag on your clutch plates, and you'll have more life out of your clutch. 1 liter for 2010 touring models. Now that you have your primary back on, oil in there, your derby cover on, derby cover 5 bolts tightened up, you can put your floorboards back on for the passenger. And the rider. You get your floorboards back on, you put your heel shifter back on, tighten them up. I'm going to check these 2 bolts. The bolt here holding your shift arm on the front of the shaft, and you want to check this bolt down in here behind your primary. Harley Davidson motorcycles, the shift linkage tends to vibrate loose, the bolt. Every time I have a bike into service, I make sure those bolts are tight, because if the shaft wears out, you have to pull your transmission apart to replace that shaft. All right, guys, thanks for watching as we did the compensator sprocket delete on the 2010 Harley Davidson Bagger. Next on this motorcycle will be heated grips and the cam chest kit. Continue to watch, that'll be part 2 and 3.